ska band who just dances on the stage and playing the instruments.
That's my role here.
It's actually cheaper to employ him than pay the rights for the actual laugh track. That's how that works. Yeah. 3, 2. Welcome to Nintendo Dads episode 314, recorded February 11th, 2021. On tonight's episode, we discuss the We discuss the ESA plans for 2021. More games coming to Nintendo Switch Online. But why? Plus Super Mario 3D plus Bowser's Fury's launches. Are we hyped? Of course we are. Oh, and did we mention we're joined by Super Ninfrendo Seth Macy from NVC and IGN. Jesse, cue the music.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Marty Estes here with Nintendo Dads. You're listening to episode 314. It is February the 11th, 2021, and we are on the cusp of the greatest 3D Mario game of all time releasing on Nintendo Switch. Must say,
you always get that in there. Always got to get that in there.
I'm going to say it every chance I get because it's true. Joining me tonight on the show, we've got a very special guest we're going to introduce in just a minute, but Tim Off from the Great White North. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, doing good. Everything's nice and white here in Detroit, Metro Detroit area. And I'm happy to be here after missing last week, especially. So just as I said before, I always look forward to these days to come talk games with you guys.
We were supposed to get ice, an ice storm last night. I thought I wouldn't be on the show this week. And we ended up, it just rained. But everybody down here in Tennessee lost their collective minds.
Yes, I bet they did.
We don't know what to do with cold weather or snow. So,
how you doing, Marty?
I'm doing okay, except for here in this little one-horse town that I live in, I found out my GameStop is closing today.
That's tough.
Can we cue the Sarah McLachlan's "I Will Remember You" here?
I still don't have that in my soundboard.
Well,
come on,
yeah, we never have it. And
7 years you can't
royalties.
get that bumper yet?
Yeah,
because I want YouTube to keep us monetized.
Yeah, there you go. Justin Masson, how you doing, buddy?
Speaking of Great White North, it is minus 37 this morning when I woke up. Celsius. That is the kind of weather that breathing hurts outside. So I'm wearing, of course, it's not the Canadian tuxedo, but it is our government issue standard red and black. So looking for some maple syrup, you hosers? Just excited to be here. Put your stick on the ice. Get the puck in the goal,
Isn't it like negative 20 and below, like frostbite in 5 minutes or less?
Yes. Yeah. It is a very real thing here. I actually went outside, went to pump the gas in the car today, and it was so cold that you could hear the gas slowly getting in the car. Like I'm watching the gas meter go up, and I stood for almost 6 minutes. It was at $10, and I was like, "Sure, look it, I can't feel my fingers anymore. We're done. I'm taking $10 worth of gas and driving away." It is frigidly cold here.
It's when the outdoors are actively trying to kill you.
Yes, that
Jesse
is exactly it.
Waldak, how's it going, buddy? The backbone of Nintendo Dads. How are you?
Pretty good. You called Tim the Great White North. Does that make Justin the Greater Whiter Norther?
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. Fair, eh?
And I think we already found our first candidate for a show title.
Did you get snow as well, I think, right?
Yeah, we've been getting I grew up in Minnesota, and very drier air and colder, so the snow is kind of wimpy and small. We normally don't get that type of snow here. It's normally thicker, heavier, and wetter. It has been it hasn't gotten above 20 degrees in 2 weeks here, and we got that same wimpy Minnesota snow. So it's for multiple days. So it's not as bad. It's not as slippery, but it still is. It's not any less annoying.
So we could just call you the Lesser White West.
What?
You'll get it in just a second. Joining us on the show this week, our special guest, Seth Macy from IGN and Nintendo Voice Chat. How are you, sir?
I'm doing quite well, actually. Thank you for asking. I am also experiencing snow and cold, but it's not that bad.
Everybody has it except me. I'm the one who wants it.
Anyway. Well, come on up. Well, I guess you can't. Okay. I forgot. There's all those restrictions in place.
Yeah. I have to be honest that I'm secretly, not so secretly now, envying your Mortal Kombat cabinet back there.
Oh, that one's good, but you got to see the other. Oh wait, I'm not a weatherman, so I can't do this. I've got the Ninja Turtle one as well.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, nice.
wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
If only I had room in my house and that much money. Just saying. Well, man, we are so glad that you are joining us on the show tonight, and we know that you have a little bit of time with us, and so we want to say this from the beginning. Seth's going to join us for a portion of the show, and then he's going to need to leave because it is wicked late where he is.
Thank you. Yes.
Wicked late.
Exactly.
It's liquid. I almost said it's liquid weight. Wicked late. And so we're going to let him just kind of join us for a little bit. And when he needs to check out, we'll continue the show on from there. And so without further ado, let's jump into the news, shall we?
Let's do it.
Forgot to turn the volume back up after the intro.
Yeah. Wow.
It happens. Totally fine. Our news is brought to us each and every week by you fine folks over at patreon.com/Nintendo Dads, where for as little as $1 a month, you can join up and help support the show and help us do cool things like record our pre and post show audio and not stream it on Twitch.
You're welcome.
Like that would ever happen. I mean,
Oops.
we never make mistakes around here.
The two buttons
also,
are so close together in OBS.
It gets you access to our Discord with $5, getting you access to the full slate of channels there. And for $30, you can become a show producer and be on the show. And so you can head over to patreon.com/Nintendo Dads and support us. So this week, we got an update to the NES and SNES, it got announced that we're getting an update to the NES and SNES Nintendo Switch Online app on February 17th. Where we will get 4 brand new games, 3 for the Super Nintendo and 1 for the Nintendo or the NES. Doomsday Warrior, Psycho Dream, and Prehistoric Man coming in for Super Nintendo. And on the NES, Fire and Ice.
So, raise of hands if anyone has heard of any of these games.
I've heard of
sure
Prehistoric
have not.
Man thanks to Nintendo Power.
That's a Game of Thrones book, isn't it?
The
Is that
Song
what
of Fire
Ninten-
and Ice. But
Oh, sorry. Okay.
One of the Pokestops in my area, it used to be called Ice and Fire, but it is now...
what?
The Pokestops for Pokemon Go?
I'm so sorry. I thought you said Polka Stop,
Oh, cool.
which
Nice.
is a totally different thing.
No, in Pokemon Go.
Buzz.
So it's a gym. The gym is called Ice and Fire. It's a hookah place, like go and share that tobacco.
Nice.
I got you. Seth, we want to just kick it off the bat with you
Yeah.
here. What the crap?
Well, yeah. I made like a little meme, of the Christmas episode where Bart gets caught shoplifting and his mom, Marge gets him Lee Carvello's putting challenge, which it's a classic episode. And I put Fire and Ice instead of Lee Carvello. And, everyone thought it was great. They shared it. But however, I discovered there is a vocal Fire and Ice Defense Force that is a very collectible NES cartridge, especially in box. It's in several $100s. And apparently it's not a bad puzzle game. And people were a little mad that I would disparage the name of Fire and Ice by making fun of it with a meme.
People on the internet mad?
I know, right? And I thought it's like the whole point of the episode that I was ripping off was that Marge has got this earnest, sweetness about her, and Bart just feels so good. Anyway, he accepts this horrible putting challenge gift because he sees his mom. Well, his mom is Nintendo, and we're all Bart, and we love Nintendo. So yeah, we're gonna take Fire and Ice. But apparently, it is actually a very good.
A pre-owned copy of Fire and Ice is on eBay right now, as of this recording, for $175.
Wow.
They
with
go
14 hours left.
Yep.
And that's unboxed. It's just the cart.
Yeah, the loose ones. Yeah, and then if they're like in good condition or graded, they're we're talking like maybe like $1,000. But yeah, the whole reason I chose that game for the meme was because it's a Nintendo game and the boxes are vertical.
Yeah.
As opposed to the SNES games, which are objectively like way worse. But the people, and myself included, are pretty bummed out. We keep getting these terrible games, but there's no real incentive for a company when Nintendo approaches them, like comes to Square Enix and says, can we license Final Fantasy 2? And then Square Enix can say, well, no, because we're going to put out a collection or put it on mobile and make like way much more money. But if you go to like the people who own the rights to Jalico or City Connection, who owns the rights to all the games that you used to rent that one weekend and then have the worst weekend, like they're just like, yeah, you can absolutely have the rights to City Connection and all our back catalog. So that's the story there. I mean, I obviously I don't have any inside scoop, but it seems to be like the case.
I do think you bring up a really good point about the business side of it. Of why have we not seen like a Mega Man or a Castlevania or a Contra or any of the Final Fantasy games yet? Well, because why not? I mean, you can make a ton of money.
I have
selling the Legacy
all
collection.
the Mega Man collections. I have the Contra Anniversary collection. I have
so
the
does he.
Castlevania.
But that brings up the point too that I would love to see a Final Fantasy collection. I'm surprised we
see that.
We
that'd be one of the
yet.
few collections that I would buy.
I would absolutely. I'm very surprised we haven't seen Final Fantasy VI since the SNES Classic.
Considering I have Final Fantasies 1 through 9 on this device, I think maybe not 8, but most of them.
I do think it's really cool of Psycho Dream to come along and take the crown of worst SNES online game away from Tough Enough.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. That's a bad one.
At this point, like, here's the thing, like, I never played any of these games, and I mentioned that when the news first broke, I was like, well, at least it's something, that we can look at and we can say, well, we've probably never played these before. But then the other question that kind of pops up from that is, who's going to play it?
Right.
Well, but my argument would be that for somebody is like fire and ice, like it's like they're losing their mind for it. Everyone's got that one or two.
Well,
games
they don't want to
like,
play it;
yes.
they just want to collect it.
Yeah, but like, I mean, it may be the thing that they're super excited for. Like, hey, I couldn't, I love playing this game as a kid. I couldn't afford finding it now. I don't have an NES, but I loved playing it. Maybe I can sit with my son or daughter and introduce it to them. So there are fans of these games, but like, yeah, I mean, I look at this list and it's like, it just feels like a random game name generator. Do you know what I mean? Like someone just like hit buttons and it was like, oh yeah, Psycho Dream, Doomsday Warrior, like, or it could be wrestlers. I don't know. Prehistoric Man, it's possible. Fire, ice, yeah. Like, I don't know.
And it does. Just my question though, and before we move on from this, because there's not a lot to mine here, but I wanted to ask you guys this: do you feel like, I think the comment was made a few minutes ago about scraping the bottom of the barrel? Do you feel like we're kind of running out of rope here?
Yeah.
Because we've got Mario, we've got all these things, but
if you look at the classic, though, there's still a couple games that we don't have on here, and they're not. I haven't seen the classic in the store, the Super Nintendo Classic in the stores anymore. So why isn't Earthbound in here, or Legend of the Seven Stars? Super Mario RPG. Why don't we have those types of things?
Those may have been one-time license agreements. Yeah. Right. So to put it on the Super Nintendo Classic, that may have been, we'll make that agreement. We're fine with that. Also, the other part of it is that, like, let's be very honest, like from a business perspective, if I put everything that's on the, Super Nintendo Classic on the NOS, means you're not going to go get the Super Nintendo Classic. Now,
that's what I'm saying. They're not in the store anymore. I haven't seen one on the shelf anymore.
No, you can't. They're gone.
They're gone, eh? Yeah. I think we're getting pretty closer, but I do want to ask Seth this question. Seth, if you could add, regardless of like the legalities, right, where the money's fallen, 3 games to the Nintendo system and the Super Nintendo for NSO, what would you add?
The obvious is going to be Chrono Trigger. That's not on the Super NES Classic. It's nowhere unless you want to get it on DS, which I just sold my copy because I don't know why I did that. But anyway, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VI, because that's my favorite Final Fantasy, and then Bahamut Lagoon, which is not released in the States, but somebody actually today just put out a new English translation patch for for ROM hacks. So if you have not played Bahamut Lagoon, it's a awesome Japanese strategy RPG. And then for the regular Nintendo, I would put Faxanadu, or Fazanadu as it's supposed to actually be called. That's a great one. Princess Tomato in the Salad Kingdom. My brother rented that one time and I was real mad. And it turned out that was like a very charming game and like super fun. And then yeah, DuckTales, like one of my favorite NES games of all time. But that one will never that one will never be on there. It's like 75 different rights holders on that one.
I've hoped for like 3 years that we were getting a new DuckTales game at some point because of the new series, and then they canceled it.
Yeah.
So that's probably never happening.
And if you're playing at home, of course, our bingo questions comment of, and the Saturday morning cartoon package for the Nintendo Switch never comes. What's going on there, right? So
I just finally gave up and bought it on PlayStation 5 because why not? Because it's never coming. Well, now it's like Tim's thing. When he buys a game, it shows up on Switch. So maybe that'll be what's happening. I think it'd be remiss too if we didn't mention that Japan is getting Shin Megami Tensei 2.
Yeah, that's a game I would want to play if I could read Japanese.
Seth, you look disappointed by that when I saw the raise of the hands. Like, what?
No, it's like that's like a instantly recognizable classic game that everybody knows, that who knows about games knows, like the Shin Megami Tensei series, and we get Eliminator Boat Duel and games of that.
I had forgotten about that one.
That was the beginning of the end. When they put that one on there, I was like, Eliminator Boat.
I didn't know this too. I'm glad Jesse dropped it in our
before,
doc here.
Before you say that, I want to quickly talk about something. Someone on Discord said, "Oh, Fire and Ice has a Solomon's Key vibe to it," and then I said, "Funny you say that."
So what is it?
You go ahead and continue what you were about to say.
Solomon's Key 2.
Yeah, it's the sequel to Solomon's Key 2.
Yep, it's Solomon's Key 2 Coolman Island Rescue Operation. So definitely a better name here.
ソロモンの鍵ツークールミント救出作戦
That's the title.
That was really the title? I was about to say, I have no clue what just happened.
I was more concerned about what you have browsing in another window right now. That was more what I was concerned about.
Yeah, see. Let's move on. Let's talk about this.
You know me too well.
Mark your calendars for June 15th through the 19th, because apparently the ESA is proposing that another digital E3 or digital only E3 occur on those 3 days. Now, of note here, we want to mention it's not been approved, though I think it's pretty certain at this point that it's going to happen. But the plan is to have multiple 2-hour keynote sessions from games partners, an award show, a June 14th preview night, and other small streams from publishers and other people. Jeff Keighley has confirmed he will not be a part of this and will run his own Summer Games Fest like he did last year. Just around the horn, and here, Seth, we'll start with you since you're our guest. What are they thinking? Like, is this like it's not going to be okay by then, or like it worked last year and here we go again? What do you think?
I think they're just trying to figure out some way to stay relevant in 2021 and going into the future. And, they've laid it on a digital thing because that's what everybody did. We did Summer of Gaming. Jeff Keighley did the Games of Summer. Somebody else did Summer Game. No, I don't know. But they're probably not going to have it in person. I know PAX East is supposed to be in June, like June 9th. And I don't really see that happening in person. I mean, we can all hope, but because PAX East is the last time anybody got to have fun, which was a long time. But as far as the ESA, like I think it's just they need to stay relevant. They need to do E3, and this is kind of where they're at. And now they're hoping everybody gets on board. But I know that this year is the first year where I haven't gotten an E3 email yet, and it's February, and I've gotten E3 emails at the end of December in years past, and I'm like, you need to slow down.
Do you think, Seth, if we lead into that pocket, one of the things I wanted to say here from a business perspective with this announcement, one of the things that was stated was the ESA was essentially like, hey, we have spots, you're welcome to show up. By the way, they're about 6 figures for a digital event, right? So
That's the other thing.
are companies kind of taking a step back? I mean, this leans into your comment there, Seth, of like, hey, I'm not getting emails. People are stepping back saying, what worked last year seemed to work all right, and I don't need to blow a budget. And I know budgets are constrained in 2020, right? Or 2021. I can remove those resources somewhere else. I can make sure my staff is more effectively working at home. Like, this feels like a really tone-deaf move for something that seemed to work somewhat effectively in 2020. I'll argue like 3 months of hype from Jeff Keighley was a little bit much, and I would have loved if we could bring that down, and as content creators it became a bit exhausting. But like, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're looking at the bottom line, it's like, well, we could pay X thousands of dollars to the ESA to do a digital stream where we're on the hook for editing, production, set design, everything. Or we could just do it ourselves, because, I mean, that's basically what it is. They're just not channeling it through that. So, I mean, it remains to be seen. There's probably somebody who's got a reason why, it is nice to have everything under the umbrella of E3.
Mm-hmm.
I've only been to E3 one time, and it was a glorious, magical time that I dreamed of my entire life. And exhausting, but it doesn't matter because I was 3 feet from Shigeru Miyamoto at one point, and I thought I had died and gone to hell. But
The 1 year I was there, I did not get that close, but I would probably maybe 20 feet away from him.
oh, he popped out of like a broom closet. He just came out and was like, did one of these, when you get a suit jacket on. He's wearing a cool T-shirt, and my knees got all weak and wobbly. And Tom Marks actually grabbed me from behind to keep me from falling down and embarrassing myself in front of the most legendary game creator of all time. But I didn't want to make eye contact with him, but I did make a little noise like a baby sheep. I think he knew. I think he could tell.
Well,
Sorry, I derailed the comment.
No, that was great.
That's okay.
That's fine.
That's
I was thinking while you were talking about that, like, of people who were able to invest and like do it on their own and do well. And I think one of the greatest examples of that for me was, and it's weird as all get out, but like Devolver Digital, man, like they just kill it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And talk about like memorable moments and helping you remember their games. They're doing well. Apart from that, I think,
and they have an ongoing story going on. But
yeah,
like
year
over year.
looking back over 2020, I was a little critical of it at first, but I feel like Nintendo's messaging was, what apart from E3, was really good by the end of the year. Like, we had a very solid roadmap. Without like mainline directs and things like that. It's just, I think. It's interesting to see that like Nintendo started that concept of a digital event, and now everybody either has to do it or they want to do it.
The other interesting thing I would say, and because when I think of E3 and this kind of movement, we'd already seen bigger companies kind of officially move away from E3, right? Like Microsoft was not on E3 campus, but like we've got the theater right next door, and you're like, well, hold on a second, you're kind of like. Right, and we saw Bethesda change, Ubisoft, like they all changed, right? They all kind of like stepped away, but
and Sony
right? Nintendo's been doing it digitally for a while. That they'd have a footprint on there. It's just, so I think one of the challenges I think of is we know that larger companies like Ubisoft, EA, they have their own avenues to do that. But like the smaller indie teams, and I know you mentioned Devolver Digital, but I think the thing that we found like last year was there was a lot of platforms, a lot of carriers that were happy to boost that signal. And again, Seth, I go back over to the content that IGN was putting out in 2020, right? A smaller developer who doesn't have a 6-figure budget, I'm sure can come to IGN and say, if you guys are doing this thing, we'd love to get into it, and here's some money or whatever. It works. Kind of Funny did a show, right? Like there's a whole bunch of content creators and bigger outlets that can boost those signals, that if you don't need to be throwing, again, 6 figures or whatever it is, and you can own that differently, I think it's an opportunity. It's interesting to see what's happening, but it feels a bit tone deaf.
The timing of it all too is a factor, and I think that helped a lot of developers, so they didn't have to cram by the time E3 happened. That time frame, they were able to breathe and plan and say, okay, we can't do it during this show or this show, but we can do it, later in August or something instead of the beginning of June. So I think timing of it helped a lot of people.
Seth, when we were talking about communication a couple seconds ago from ESA and all this, Marty mentioned Nintendo. How do you think Nintendo did in 2020 for their communication strategy? Because we definitely saw a move away from the mainline directs into these kind of small bite-sized, very channelized, either partner showcases or Nindy Worlds, plus the occasional like, and by the way, let me introduce on Twitter that we're dropping a brand new game.
Right.
And we haven't seen anything from them in 2021. What are your thoughts on that? And yeah.
I think given the situation for 2020, I think they did very well, kind of not trickling out, but keeping a good pace of information in a year where I am sure that Hyrule Warriors was not their planned holiday game. Like, as great as that game is, I don't think that was their big like holiday moment. I think a lot of games got kicked back, and with these smaller little bite-sized directs, they were able to sort of just keep the momentum. Not that Nintendo really needed to do anything to keep the momentum. Sure. Like, every person I've ever known who's had no interest in video games was suddenly like, hey, where can I get one of these Nintendo Switches and that Animal Crossing game? Yeah. But as far as, 2020, given what they had and given how Nintendo's pretty famous for not always adapting quickly, they're like the huge ship. They can't just turn 180 degrees, but they did, I think, an admirable job. And I think in 2021, we haven't had the big exciting news yet, but man, my heart wants to hear that, that Zelda 35 anniversary collection or something like that. But I think we're going to get a little bit back to normal with the Nintendo information drip here pretty soon.
Okay.
Good cadence.
Well, speaking of 2021, we're kind of on the doorstep of a huge 2021 release for Nintendo, with them finally bringing Super Mario 3D World to the Switch, as well as Bowser's Fury, which I love 3D World. I jokingly and also very seriously call it the greatest 3D Mario game ever made, because it is. But anyway, I'm really, 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 really excited about the Bowser's Fury part of it. This week, IGN reviewed this game reviewed it. Yeah, for a review. I don't know where I was going with that.
You got the steps in front of you, and then you figured out, I just lost it there, didn't I?
Yeah, it happens sometimes. But the biggest controversy of that review has been the number that was applied to it at the end. Just to jog everyone's memory back in 2013, when Super Mario 3D World released for the Wii U, it was given a 9.6. However, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury came in at a 7 in IGN's review this week, and a lot of people are let's just say, the internet lost its mind.
They're furious.
I see what you did there.
Just give him the award now. Do you know what I mean? Our new favorite IGN co-host.
Right? Yes, thank you guys.
Done.
Oh, this meeting.
I love it
so much.
So Seth, I was just wondering if, I don't know how much you can speak to that, but the question was raised earlier when we were kind of preparing for the show. Does this reaction show that there is maybe a little bias or a confirmation bias on a part of the Nintendo community when it comes to reviews? Do you think the 7 was warranted? I don't know how much you could say, but just what do you think about all this?
Well, I haven't played the new version. Obviously, I played the Wii U versions, and I loved it. We played it, like the whole family played it, and it was a great time, and I plan on getting the new one. So I can't speak to I think it was Cam that reviewed it. I can't speak to the new version. I have to imagine I'm going to love it exactly as much, plus a little bit more. But that's just his opinion, man. And also, 7 is on the IGN scale is a good game. So people are so mad. He's like, they call this game good. Flipping tables. No, that's
how
not
dare
true.
they?
Is that because we believe that Mario games I guess this is the commentary around like what I would call Nintendo or Mario bias or confirmation bias. do we believe that all Mario it's like you said, it's good, but it's not a 9? Well, Mario games are 9s. It's a 9.6. Or is it the fact that the score is so widely different, right? And I think your commentary of like, that's his opinion, and the reviewer who did in 2013, and I apologize for not having their name, they have a different opinion. And God forbid that people who view different games have different opinions and reviews. Like I don't know, how does that land for a company as IGN, and what does this sit like for you?
This happens every time there's a review. Is like some people don't like the review score. It doesn't matter if a game is like scored very highly. People question whether or not it deserved it, and if it's scored, I can't even say scored too low, because 7 is a good score. But if it's lower than it's an outlier. It's the lower score of all the other outlets, and so people are like upset about that because they don't feel that it was given a fair shake. But at the end of the day, it's like, I always, since I was a kid, reading EGM. I used reviews to sort of color my buying choices. It wasn't the if a game got a bad review, but I thought I was going to like it, I still bought the game anyway. And then I oftentimes did like it. And another thing is, like, games that get 7s are sometimes, I can't, of course, think of any examples off the top of my head, but my friend and I talk about this all the time. Some of those 7 games, there's just like a perfect niche where maybe the reviewer wasn't getting hit, wasn't in the audience to get that, but I am, and for me it's like a 10. Like I have the utmost respect for a 7.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's also not limited to Nintendo. You all remember what happened when like Cyberpunk got scored before its release, when the public actually knew how screwed up the game was, and They saw 6s and 7, even 6s and 7s, and went, no, he must be higher because CDR can do no wrong.
Yeah, like, and that was the thing that frustrated me, was that like people are slagging on Cam about it, and I'm like, have any of you actually played the version he's played? Like, sure, look at y'all played the Wii,
or better yet, how many of you have actually reviewed a game? Yeah. It isn't as easy as it looks.
And let's be honest, there's probably only 4 of you that had a Wii U, and only 3 actually bought the game. Right, so like you're getting mad at a person for them playing the game, them having an experience, and them reviewing it, and you not agreeing with something that you have no contrast to. Now, like it just blows my mind. What, like, at IGN, and I don't know if you can speak to it. Does this? Because again, I wouldn't say we want to give the internet oxygen, right? But like it pops off. What does this look like behind the scenes, or is there a conversation? Is everyone just like shrug? Sure, look at it is what it is.
I mean, I actually don't. That's a completely different part of the the review stuff. I mean, I do reviews, but as far as the discussion around reviews, generally speaking, that's like Dan and Tom and those guys in the like whose job it is, whose job titles have review editor in them. As far as, but if somebody, Dan won't let you BS your way like through a review. I don't say I've tried to BS, but he makes you explain everything. And after you've done a few reviews for Dan, you know exactly what Dan is looking for, because he knows exactly what questions the audience is going to be asking at the end of the review. And of course, it's not perfect. Sometimes, people will latch onto something that is like truly upsetting to them. But for the most part, the reviews are like extremely, what's the word I'm looking for? He doesn't let you, he doesn't suffer fools lightly, basically, is what I'm saying. Like, every review you give to Dan, he sends them back and they're so marked up, and he's like, well show me this. Why do you like this? Well, you're telling me about this, but you're not telling me if you're liking this. So like the review process itself is really robust, and and it's not like we just write it and somebody copy edits it for grammar and spelling and punctuation. Like, there's a lot of actual like people with eyes on it, and especially for like a bigger game, we'll have maybe more than one person. I gave Microsoft Flight Simulator a 10 because I think it's just like an absolutely astonishing achievement. And like other people in the office who played the game, looked at my review to sort of see if they jibed with my, like, I believe it's a masterpiece score. And that was the one and only 10 that I've ever given out. And it was breathtaking.
Flew as high as you could on that one, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this game is like 2 hours away from release. And again, I love what you said that it's his opinion, right? And I think that sometimes the way I kind of felt about it when all the hubbub surfaces, it kind of reminded me that sometimes we like to let people do the thinking for us. And it's like, I trust this outlet. So I've jived with a lot of their other reviews. So I'm just going to see what they have to say about it, right? Instead of like actually going and picking the game up for ourselves, or as you said, I know I'm probably going to like this game. The review colors it a little bit, but I'm still going to pick it up.
Yeah. Or people feel that they have to validate their own opinions by reviews, and if they don't match, then they doesn't fit.
Yeah.
In my case, especially like with movies, if it's critically high, I will likely not like it, and vice versa. That's not, in games, everyone else here knows I have my own opinions on games. My top 10 list looks nothing like anyone else's.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I mean, that's what I think a game review, I was going to say that's what I think a game review should be, but that's what a game review has to be, because it's not like a product review. It's not like this, this flight stick functions well. It's got, 180 degrees of movement, and we put it through our testing machines, and we got down to the millimeter. Like, you can't do that with a game. You can't objectively review a game or a movie, because
this game is exactly 12 millimeters.
Right. It
job.
tastes
10 out of
terrible. 10. Right. Yeah.
That'd be the best reviews now going forward, right?
Chef Ramsay.
Yeah.
Great.
The size of the card is the same as the last time the size was this card. This is incredible.
Yeah.
Box is still, exactly.
One of the things I think I like to hear, though, that we've mentioned before, because it always comes up when there's reviews that bring up a lot of news, is that we always talk about finding the person you identify with, a reviewer that you identify with, a few of them, in fact, and seeing and listening to their reviews, and if you're the type, to get their feedback to see if it's something that, hey, they're like me, their games that they like are like the games I like, so I respect their view, and that's what makes me say yay or nay on a game. So that's, whenever we've talked about it before, that's what we always say, is just find those few people that you respect their views on, and balance out your choices, help you balance out your choice when you go to make it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, typically if Jesse says he hates a game, I will probably love it. And that's actually my test. That's my test.
And,
so
he said this before. Yep.
Yeah, it's not a wrong statement. Not a wrong statement.
Justin does not like Picross games.
7 out of their top 10 games are Picross.
Right.
Those are great games.
Yep.
I don't know if they're in my top 10, but that's, I respect.
I wanted to put like 5 Picross games in my top 10, but I limited myself to 2. Literally, I'm not kidding.
I just wanted to drop this in here and say this. Speaking of Super Mario Brothers 3D World and Bowser's Fury, if you pre-ordered the game, it is now that mission is now marked complete for you if the game has downloaded and you have paid. And that was the I guess the necessary mission that you had to achieve to receive or be eligible to get the second pin set, which goes live February 17th and will most likely go live at some random godforsaken time during the day where I will not be around my computer.
They actually have a time. They have a time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they said 12 Pacific.
Okay, so 2 Central, which means I have exactly 2 minutes and 25 seconds.
Yes,
to check out.
Less than that.
Yeah.
I was being
Seth, I saw you shaking your head when we started talking about those pin collections, and it looks like you're about ready to curse. Yeah. Do you want us to talk to us about how you feel about that?
I'm so sad. I love pins. I love enamel pins to the point where I used to run an enamel pin business,
really,
as a side hustle. Yeah. And I love enamel pins, and I wanted those worse than anything, and they sold out instantly. But then I saw, they've got a second series. I'll get these ones, and I'll have these ones in my heart and my home. But no, because turns out you had to keep doing those missions the whole time, and half the missions that I didn't do were closed out and could never be done again. And then I just said, well,
I'm barely scraping in there.
I have 15 missions done. I have them all done because I wasn't able to get. I did not get the first set, so I have. I'm ready to pull the trigger. Except I didn't intend on buying Super Mario 3D World. So I'm like, or 3D. So that's
shame on you.
I know, right? And I was like, I've already got it on the Wii U. I don't want to buy it again for a pin set. I feel like.
Yeah. You're not buying it for a pin set. You're buying the greatest 3D Mario game of all time.
That's debatable.
I've got 18. I have 18 out of the 22 missions completed.
I'm loving the. Just to hype it up a little bit more, I noticed that the second pin set has the Mario 35th anniversary logo as a.
That's why I like it.
Pin.
That's why I want it.
So you're getting 6 in this set as opposed to the 5.
You're killing Seth here. Like he's not going to come
sorry.
back.
My friend texted me with the original one when he got them, and they come in this like beautiful little box. You know, they didn't cheap out on anything. It's like,
and they're a little bit,
I have the first pin box, but I literally have never opened it.
oh,
than I thought they would be. So Seth, we want to be respectful of your time, and to that end, we have got some questions for you from our community.
all right.
As we wrap up your time here, and so we'll throw to this one first. Our listener Antonio and patron of the show asked this: during the pandemic, my 7-year-old son and I have bonded over Nintendo games, Mario Odyssey and Paper Mario most notably. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is the first game that he's followed from its announcement, and he's hyped. Every morning before school, these past 2 weeks, he's cheered the number of days till release.
Oh, man.
I'm about to sneeze. That's not good.
I was like, you cry? Pull yourself together, man.
I can't believe it was such a beautiful game. He says, my question to our Super Nintendo and fellow Nintendo dad, Seth Macy, is, what was the first game you saw your kids get ultra hyped for?
Oh,
kids?
Man. That is such a great question. The first game that they ever got super hyped for ahead of time, that is like, I can't really. I mean, they were young when like Minecraft was coming up. So like, but that was never like, it was in early access and stuff. And then when Terraria was sort of at its peak, that consumed their entire lives, like all the kids in their school. It's like, I beat Skeletron. No, I gotta beat the Flesh Ball. Like that's man, I can't remember any games where they were like so hyped. Other than most recently, my oldest son was really excited for the Super Mario 3D All Stars collection because he's 17. He just turned 17 last week, and it's like his first, like my first nostalgia thing. Like he played Galaxy when he was little with me, and I just give him the Wiimote, and he'd collect the crystals. So he has like nostalgia from being a little kid.
Oh, that's awesome.
Super Mario Galaxy, and now he gets to play it again. And then he ended up just playing, Super Mario 64 the whole time. he had never played it except for on DS. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Any of you other guys, a game that the first game you saw your kids get really excited about?
I think mine is probably a Call of Duty.
I think for my girls was probably Animal Crossing. Like that was the one that they were the most like, and that hype kind of continues still even in our family, right? When Nintendo puts out here's what's coming to the island in February, right? Like they would ask me, they're like, has Nintendo put out a trailer about what's coming in July yet, right? So that hype kind of continued. But I remember that one, like they were really ravenous about. The other ones that like they've had other ones they're excited, but that was like almost a countdown. So.
For my kid, Sam, I would say it was actually the Switch itself. He was counting down for Christmas when he got it, and I actually have a YouTube video. He is this generation's Nintendo 64 kid because he's screaming his head off when he got it for Christmas. He opened up the box and everything, and he lost his mind. So that's, I mean, I know it's just a system, but still, that he just lost his mind, and that was fun to watch.
I was thinking because my son was born in 2007, right after the Wii came out. In fact, we came home from the hospital, and my dad had to go to GameStop and pick up my copy of Super Paper Mario, so they wouldn't get rid of my pre-order. And so I can't think of one like I guess it was Minecraft Dungeons recently. But another thing too was he knew how much I wanted a PS5, and he like subsequently wanted a PS5. And so when we weren't able to get one, and then my mom was able to secure a pre-order,
Go mom! Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Coming in clutch. When she told us, she was kind of like on speakerphone in the car, and he cried.
Aw.
Yeah, it was like, just a sweet little moment. He was like, "Oh, I can't believe it." He had tears coming out. And now he plays the PlayStation 5 more than I do. So,
That's the way it goes.
I think he thinks it's his.
I've barely touched mine after like the last month.
Tim, let's go to the next question for you, sir, to Seth.
Yeah, so I had a question too that I wrote down because I wanted to make sure I didn't forget it. But it's basically, did you have any expectations going into permanently being the temporary host of MVC? And what did you learn from that experience after Casey returned?
I didn't. I was very surprised when Damon like slacked me and he's like, "Hey, we need an NBC host, like permanent temporary host." And because he's like, "We don't know how long it's going to be." And in my head, I was like, "What if Casey's gone for like a year? Oh my God. This is like, I'm going to have to do this for a whole year." But thankfully she wasn't like out of commission for very long at all. But like, man, I didn't know what to expect. I'd only hosted NG Plus, which was our nightly games news show that we did before. So it was awesome. It was really cool because I've been listening to NBC since, I'm not sure. I think it was like 2008 when the One Apocalypse happened. Yeah. And I only listened to podcasts on One Up. Like that was it. And then after they were all gone, I was like, well, what am I going to do now? And then that's how I found like Nintendo Voice Chat and all the other ones. So I've been like listening to this podcast and all my horrible jobs that I had, and all of a sudden I was in it. So
I remember your thank you at the end when Casey came back. That was very touching.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was all like true stuff. I was like super happy for Casey to be back, super happy that I had this opportunity, like sad that I don't get to host Nintendo Voice Chat anymore, but that's fine because it was never my show to begin with. So I feel like, Dave Letterman used to fill in for Johnny Carson. So like,
oh yeah,
looking at,
there you go.
I'll just, whatever show they want to throw at me from here in the basement studio. Yeah. I think if I had any expectations was that I would have more guests on. I did try to get Mega Ran on for an episode, but it turned out he goes to the gym at the exact same time that we record on Thursday. So I was like, no, because he just had a book coming out and I wanted to talk to him about that. Yeah. He's the same age as me, and I don't know a lot of people that are exactly born 1977. So,
sure. Yeah.
Other than Tom Brady, but
and he's just not returning your calls.
He won't. Right? Him and Kanye, they just will not. In fact, the only person that returns the call is somebody telling me not to call them.
Yeah, it's so weird that our invitation got lost in the mail. It's awkward.
I have a question as well. I just thought of that I didn't get a chance to put in the notes.
Sure.
So, you guys originally did the shows in a studio, and we, another podcast friends of ours called Megadads also does their shows together. So when the pandemic hit and y'all had to do it from home, the first time they did it from home, they ended up giving this little clip.
We sound like the damn Nintendo dads all of a sudden.
So what was like for you guys to all of a sudden do this remotely? After
I'll tell you.
Years of not doing it remotely.
I actually work remotely anyway, and I have worked remotely, so it was a huge bummer that I never get to be on shows unless I was out at the office, which was, once or twice a year. I would go out for a week and we would just do like all the things that I had to do in person. So for everybody else, it was like just actually working from home was like really difficult for everybody. But for me, I'm like, I do this every day. And all of a sudden they're like, hey, you want to be on shows? I'm like, hell yeah, I want to be on the show.
We were already setting to go.
Yeah, I was like,
moves a boom mic in instantly. He's like, and I've been waiting for this.
This just in, absolutely. So yeah, it's been a boon. Like I got to do summer gaming content. I got to be on Up at Noon. I got to do NG Plus every week. I got to host NVC for permanent temporary duty, and I get to be on NBC now, and like, you know, it's for me, it's just been a great. It's been an.
You were ready to go.
But for everyone else, it was definitely like a huge, especially the hosts like Akeem and Sydney, who, you know, do news in front of the studio all the time. Like, it was like completely, like, all of a sudden,
right,
you know, instead of having all this incredible high-tech equipment, it's like they're at their desk at home.
They're doing what we do.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, but we've all set up for shows, and they're just like, you know, like at their house. And
it's been cool to see their evolution, though. Everybody's evolution. You see how it's changed over that time period of when they had to start off and just kind of hurry up and put something together, and then up to now, all the different like backgrounds people have come up done. And
Akeem's set that he has, like, and it's in his house, but it looks like this like cool jazz tiki bar. Like, it's the best set I've ever seen of any like at home like hosts during this whole pandemic. It's unbelievable. And this is just like, I would have this other, you know, like, even if I didn't have to be on shows, like, this is just my basement.
that's what this is.
Yeah. So,
well, Seth, we want to be respectful of your time, but I want to throw one last question at you before you have to go. This was a question from our Discord, and one of our hosts of one of our other shows, Dads After Dark. I just thought this was a fantastic question and would love to hear everybody's answers. He asked this: name a game where that you feel it would be a crime to only play to the credits.
Game, it would be a crime to only play to the credits.
And of course, soon as, like, literally a minute later after he asked that, someone answered it with the answer I was going to give,
which was
yeah, go ahead. What was yours?
Dragon Quest XI. Because normally in Dragon Quest games there is, you know, story to credits to post game, and the post game in this is really Act 3. It is, I think, a necessary part of the game to get the full story.
Okay.
And then there is a second credit roll when you're done with that.
And I would even I would think this question would appeal to like a game that it would be a crime to not 100%.
Oh, okay. I just talked about this actually on NVC. But I'm going to change my answer and say, of course, you got 101% Donkey Kong 64, everybody. I mean, don't slack on that. I did it. I loved it. I couldn't stop.
Real champs do. You know what I'm saying?
I think I was lucky to 6% that game.
Well, everyone thinks it's a goof that I champion DK64, but I didn't know any better when that game came out. I was like, I was in my 20s. I was in the Air Force. I had my Nintendo 64, and I think I had like 2 weeks off. And I got every damn colored banana that you could possibly get. And I got 101% in that game. But I will say the Donostaro Castlevania game is like, everyone should 100% that game and fill out your bestiary, because that game is so chef kiss and just. But the other thing I was gonna say is my dirty secret is, I will put hundreds of hours into games and just never beat them. Red Dead Redemption, many hundreds of hours. Metal Gear Solid 5, 157 hours. Skyrim, infinite hours. Never finished any of those games. I just like going out and just wandering around and imagining I live in a world of wonder, or the Old West, you know. One or the other.
I think Seth and I might be spirit animals.
I mean,
sounds very much like me.
Yeah, the thing that appeals to me about an open world game is that I can just start walking there and see something there and go, okay, I'm gonna go over this one. So yeah, those big games I very
and
rarely...
on the total pendulum swing to the other side of that stresses me out.
Really?
Because I'm like, it's over there and I got to go over there, but then there's this cool thing over here, and if I go over here, I'll forget to go over there, and then there's more stuff.
Yeah, it's
a term I picked up from a board gaming community, analysis paralysis. Like I get to a point where it's like, I just don't know what to do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the same with Wikipedia articles. I never finish them. I just click on the next link. Well, what is that? Holy Roman Empire. Wow. I don't know much about that.
The rabbit hole. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, speaking of rabbit hole, Seth, we are so glad that you have chosen to jump down the rabbit hole with us this week. We know that you need to head out because it is indeed wicked late where you are. As we said earlier, and we want to just say thanks for joining us on the show. You've been a fantastic guest. We've loved chatting with you and having you here.
Yeah, it was awesome. This is like super fun. I wish I had more time.
So
you're welcome back anytime, Seth. Yes. Anytime you're welcome back.
Yeah, next time I have a Friday off, boom, we'll do it. We'll go.
I love it.
Let's do fantastic.
It. Right through.
Yeah. Because the normal Nintendo Dads podcast is like, 2.5 hours.
I'm surprised Zach Ryan didn't warn you. He was probably like, "Don't do that show."
Zach is so busy right now. Like I don't hear anything from him at all.
Okay.
Other than,
That's why.
Can't talk.
Yeah. Seth, if people want to find you and interact with you on the socials and everything, where are the places you want them to find you?
Well, where I want you to find me. I'm on Twitter at Seth Macy. I am on Instagram at Seth G Macy, and I am on twitch.tv/Seth G Macy, and I'm just started being a little bit more serious, but every Friday night I play through Contra for the NES, just once through Contra Code. I'm not trying to prove anything. We're just having fun. So tomorrow night at 6:00.
Would you say that is like your comfort food gaming?
It's absolutely, and I say it on the stream every time. When I was a kid and we would have sleepovers, before we watched horror movies, before we ate 50 bowls of cereal at 9:00 at night, we would sit down, we would put in the code, and we would play through Contra.
Seth, I'm on Twitch right now and I found you, but it says Beef Lords Gaming.
That's the Beef Lords Gaming Depot. That is the name of my
that is you, right?
eSports. Yes, my
eSports
team.
I love it.
I was like, I think you did mention that when we talked about Apex recently, didn't you?
Yes, actually, yeah. The Beef Lords Gaming Depot is just it's a thing. When I was in the pin business, my business partner and I had talked about releasing a line of action figures based on, I think, the Food Fight line of action figures, but it was actual meat, and it was going to be called the Beef Lords, and it was just like Mr. Potato Head. You could stick muscly arms into steaks and franks and things of that nature.
I'm on board with this.
And I have just followed that page.
When does the Kickstarter begin?
The Kickstarter will begin as soon as I get my financial clearance from Kickstarter.
That's fantastic. Well, again, Seth, thanks so much. Y'all go, listeners, and follow him. Check out his stream every Friday night of Contra for some comfort food gaming there, and go follow him up on socials. Thank you again so much for being a part of the show tonight.
Guys, it's so much fun. Like, I love just chatting Nintendo and having a good time, having a few laughs. It's like I'll be more than happy to come back. I'll tell you what, next time I have a 4-day weekend, you'll be the first to know.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Seth. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Well, guys, let's round out some news here.
I'm just going to say here, just genuinely, awesome guy. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Man, freaking, and I'm not saying that, no, we haven't had other guests who aren't awesome, but man, I would love to just sit down with Seth Macy, have a couple beers, have some nachos, right?
Fire pits.
Yeah. Sit around
play some Mario Kart.
Yeah,
he's invited to the Nintendo Dads Con when we have one.
Yes, and he will do Friday Night Contra at 6 p.m.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly.
We're going to give him a whole time slot, Friday Night Contra. Let's talk over just a couple of more news items before we move into what we've been playing and all that good stuff. North American eShop is offering double gold points on select games right now. We thought you might want to know about this so that you can save some money on other games. These games include Paper Mario, The Origami King, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Mario Odyssey, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. I'm just going to be real honest with you. I don't know how Breath of the Wild fits into all that Mario. It kind of feels like it's to celebrate the release of Mario 3D World in a way, and the 35th anniversary, like it's ending, right?
Yeah, it does. Yep.
But anyway,
one of these things don't look like the other.
Right. Maybe it's quietly kickstarting the Zelda 35th.
Ooh, that's a good thought, Mr. Waldak. I like that. For a limited time, you'll get 600 gold coins when you buy those games instead of 300. So you can go check that out. Lots of game announcements to talk about here. Some things I want to rewind to last week. We talked about Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake. The day after the podcast, they announced that it is postponed. I mean, we did talk about this, no longer listed for the Switch, but Ubisoft announced the day after we recorded the game is now delayed to be determined. I
wonder if that has something to do with their other announcement about getting away from too many AAA games.
I thought that was very interesting, Tim. They're the first kind of big publisher to kind of just go out there and say that, like, maybe we don't need to depend so much on AAA games.
Well, right.
Being anymore. A remake of a 18-year-old game, I don't think that would really qualify, would it? You know,
it probably just depends on how they would approach it.
They probably how they were going to approach it. $40, 30 or 40
Jesse,
bucks.
When you say it that way, it doesn't sound like it. But then on the other hand, are they going to promote it as a AAA game?
Okay, right. That's true.
Like what kind of power are they going to put behind it?
Yeah, marketing budget. That is a thing.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that this pandemic has done a real good job of revealing in developers is that the crunch and dev cycle for AAA games is a little bit ridiculous.
Yes,
a lot of it ridiculous.
Well, I was being generous, but that companies can't depend on that moving forward because we don't know. We have these things that pop up in life and we don't know, we don't know if we can just live off of 2 or 3 of those a year. Cyberpunk. Right. Which, by the way, I wanted to know, did you guys see that CD Projekt Red got held for ransom this week?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
They owe me money.
It just goes from worse to worse.
And basically what they did was they managed to scrape full game code for Cyberpunk 2077, The Witcher 3, and an unreleased version of The Witcher 3. And they threatened to dump all of that online, as well as all kinds of corporate emails, which they said, quote, would be delivered to gaming journalists.
And I think as the kind folks at like Kinda Funny said, like, what game journalist in their right integrity would take that? Now, it will probably find its way on 4chan and Reddit, and then that's how it gets reported. But like Jason Schreier isn't like, sweet, I hope that hits my Bloomberg inbox. Like, right. No.
But no, really? No, you don't think Schreier would dig into that a little bit and be like, oh.
Schreier would dig into that. Schreier's not taking that from your hackers.
I think the way this is why CD did this is they announced it ahead of time. If they hadn't said anything, then maybe reporters would have been, hey, look, there's some stuff going on. Where's this information coming from? So it would have came out that way. But since CD Red came out and said, hey, we've been hacked, we don't want to give into it, and all that kind of stuff, everybody's aware of it. So more than likely, nobody's going to take the information.
I'm going to go on record here and say this. There are some things in those emails that they probably do not want people to read.
But at this point, there's probably nothing that nothing that would really shock us, right? Here's probably the worst thing. We should put out the game. I don't think it's done yet. I know. Let's put it out anyways, right? Do you know what I mean? Like,
we got to make that money.
That's exactly. Anyway. But yeah, that like no one's gonna be shocked by that. The people I feel the worst for is employees who work at the organization.
Oh
right?
Yeah.
Like not the top salary executives, and I'm not saying they're getting what they should be getting. It's more of a like just the privacy information that could have people got, like addresses, that kind of stuff. That's a concern. It
was announced that one of the things they did not get was like player accounts, employer information, things like that. That was not part of the leak.
The other aspect they did say that was part of the leak was, and this is what CD Projekt Red was afraid of, was they said they apologized to any companies that they worked with that's not known publicly that may be coming out. So something to that effect. I'm not saying it exactly verbatim to what the letter said, but it was basically, we apologize ahead of time to any of the companies we worked with in the past that this information may come out about working together, that type of thing, That's what I think could be reported, because what reporter is not going to want that kind of juicy information that, hey, CD Projekt Red tried to do a Zelda game for Nintendo as an example, just saying,
Yeah.
So
that's a good point. Other things you should be aware of: Overcooked 2 is free to play right now for Nintendo Switch Online subscribers in North America and European regions. This started this week. It goes through February 16th. It's a great game for you to try out with your family, absolutely free. And look, if you can get it and beat the game in that time,
all the power to
you saved a bunch of money. But I believe that one of our own, Justin Masson, would probably tell you this is worth owning just for the massive amount of DLC that they have dropped on this game since release.
Sure, look at Overcooked 2. Let me tell you, that is probably my couch co-op family game of the last 4 years. That is absolutely,
of your lifetime.
Yeah, of my lifetime. That is an 11 out of 10 on the Justin Masson rating scale. You know what I'm saying? Get hyped, son. You should be picking this up. It will also potentially destroy your marriage and family, but I think you should pick it up. Totally.
Valentine's Day is Sunday. This would be a great maybe it might be a great after the great snipper clips incident of 2017. My wife has told me she'll never play a cooperative game again unless it's Lego.
2 years ago, they put out like a Valentine's Day patch, and literally that was Jody's and my Valentine's Day night. We kind of dimmed the lights, turned on some Overcooked, and made us some drinks.
Awesome.
Can you confirm, yes or no, was the sultry sounds of Kenny G playing in the background?
No, there was not. There was not any Kenny G, just some Barry White. You know what I'm saying? Barry White.
I was going to say Barry White. I know
which one you're talking about there. Also, here's some other little things too. Apex Legends was announced this week to clock in at 30 gigabytes.
This is a big change. Last week when it was shown on the eShop, and you'll have pictures on our Twitter, it was 15.2 gigabytes, but they did say in brackets lower, more to come. More has came, folks. 30 gigs. This is going to be a massive, massive download.
This is why it's coming out on the 9th and not now.
Yeah, this is the other part of it as well. Is this is not uncommon. So if you're like, wow, 30 gigs. If you're just bordering 30 gigs, any game is a game that is a game as a service. Go to Fortnite, go to Rocket League, go to Overwatch that have regular patch updates. They don't just be like, oh, cool, we put a patch and you're still at 30. No, now you're at 32. Now you're at 35. They continue to grow.
The worst one, period, is Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah,
it's
big
like
patches.
It's like 6 gigs on the cart, or whatever, and then it's like a 45 gig download.
Yeah,
it takes forever.
Yeah,
big patches.
So it's out there. By the way, guys, it's 2021. It's time to buy a memory card for your Nintendo Switch. They're cheap. You can get 120 gigs, and you can get more games.
I'm waiting for that 1 terabyte one.
I got one around Christmas, and I don't regret it. I don't.
Yep, I'm waiting.
Black Friday sales every year on those are fantastic. Moving Out, which is another game kind of like Overcooked, announced this week that DLC will be coming to 25, so it's later this month.
I just want to make one quick clarity. There's actually 2 pieces of that. There's a free DLC that kind of adds some additional challenge levels, and I believe cosmetics, and then there's actually paid DLC on top of that as well. So that's a twofer on that one.
Awesome. Also announced DLC today, I believe, because I texted my son about this. Minecraft Dungeons is getting another DLC pack.
Free update, isn't it?
It is,
Is it a free update?
No.
Oh, it's DLC.
Let me tell you what we discovered. So they did a season pass. There were 2 DLCs that came with that.
Yep.
And then the last one that they dropped, and this one, which launches on February 24th, it's called Flames of the Nether. You have to buy another season pass for those.
No.
Which, I'm going to say this here. That is slimy.
Yeah.
If I buy a season pass, then that means it is till the game's over with. I'm sorry. It is.
I agree with that one.
Like I get Smash Brothers did it, and that's the new in vogue thing. Like, oh, you can do 2 and make even more money.
But the difference with Smash Brothers, they specifically said it will contain 5 fighters.
And you got your 5.
And they delivered, and then they promised more. So
yeah, it was a
I'm okay with
pass,
how they
not
did
a
it.
season pass. I just something about this struck me as
Sorry, I'm looking. Hold on a second. I apologize. I am looking at this right now, Marty, on Screen Rant, and they're saying, the large DLC for Minecraft Dungeons, the Flames of Nether, will be released later this month alongside the game's free big. I'm sorry. So
there
there
is a free DLC coming out. You were right. It's called Ancient Hunts.
Got it. I apologize.
Which are, I love this, procedurally generated end game missions that weave in and out of the Nether. So it's different every time you play.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, y'all, seriously, Minecraft Dungeons, fantastic game. Don't sleep on it. It's not just Diablo Light. It's a really good game.
That's how the original Diablo and Diablo 2 were. They were procedurally generated.
I picked it up and the season pass actually.
I don't know if Diablo 3 was or not.
I'm gonna be buying the second season pass for my kid. He's fine.
I want to play it more, but Sammy got bored with it. He doesn't want to play it anymore. It's like,
play it on your own then.
I will, but I got other things to play right now.
Speaking of updates, Stardew Valley 1.5 is now out on Nintendo Switch. This is the huge update patch that's been highly anticipated. And also, we want to throw a couple of dates out there. Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, is coming to Nintendo Switch. It is day and date with PS5 and Xbox Series S and X updates. That's March 12th. So that's like in just under a month. From today when you're hearing this. Also, we got dates this week for The World Ends With You, the animation, which begins airing in Japan on April 9th. And Sonic the Hedgehog 2 got officially announced, the movie, not the game. And it already has a release date, April 8th, 2022.
Yay.
That's awfully fast.
Yeah, it is. But let me say this. I'm looking forward to going back to the theater to see this movie, because the first one was actually a pleasant surprise. I had
a lot of fun with it.
You know what? Can I compare it to something was said earlier in the show? I think it was a 7 out of 10. It's good. It was a good movie.
What made it great for me was going there with my son and watching his face light up while watching it. Just like totally like, this is awesome. This is the greatest thing I've seen. Also, so I'm like, hey, you love it, I love it.
For everybody out there who's listening, you've crapped all over this movie. Jim Carrey is amazing in this movie. It is a return to form for Jim Carrey. I thought they let him go nuts, and it was fantastic.
Makes me wonder if the new movie is primarily CG, and with just a few human actors, as opposed to the other way around. That they probably could have gotten pretty deep into production already then, because I don't think they started filming yet.
Well,
so we'll find out.
But dude, they got a whole year. I mean, this is
but it normally takes 3 years to make a movie nowadays.
They're going to use the same model that they used for Tails and Sonic in the last movie, and it's going to be fine. It's going to be good.
I'm looking for. I still want to know what the original Tails model would have looked like.
Like a drowned rat. And speaking of drowned rats, let's talk about some events, shall we?
There it is.
So we've got some more details on the Pokémon GO Tour Kanto event. It begins February 20th from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. local time. Special research means if you complete the special research, you'll get a reward of a shiny Ditto. Masterwork research will also be unlocked once the special research is completed. Masterwork research takes a lot more time to complete versus special research. And one of the missions on page 1 of this research is to get a Platinum Kanto medal, which requires you to have all 151 Kanto Pokemon. Other requirements needed to complete this Masterwork research are included but not limited to having level 40, catching 30 Pokemon of each type, and spinning 151 unique Pokestops while also walking 151 kilometers. If you do this, you get a shiny Mew, or you get the chance to encounter a shiny Mew. 10 collections will be active during the event: Red, Green, Raids, Research, Evolution, Pallet Town, Pewter City, Cerulean City, Fuchsia City, and Pokemon League. And those must be finished by February 28th at 7:59 p.m. to get the rewards. Hatching eggs and shadow encounters will not count towards collections. A schedule of this: each hour will feature Pokemon spawns that you'd encounter near a specific town. 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. is Pallet Town. 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. is Pewter City. 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. is Cerulean City. 12 p.m. and 5 p.m. is Fuchsia City. 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. Pokemon League, and 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. all Pokemon from previous hours. Starting February 21st through February 27th, various Pokemon from Kanto will still be in the wild, attracting incense, encounters from field research, hatching from eggs, and in raids.
And then I wanted to add, because with this, when you buy the ticket, the ticket for this event, you have to choose between a red and a green, and that determines which Pokemon will be attracted to incense during the event. So if you have the red pass, you'll only get the red Pokemon. So in order to get the green collection, you've got to trade from someone who is probably can trade with anyone else, but they want you to trade someone who's got the green pass, so so they can trade the ones that they recently caught. So I have 2 accounts. I have red on one, green on the other, so I can just trade it with myself.
Wow. Justin, you still with us?
Oh my God! I'm sorry, I blacked out for like 3 minutes of Pokemon news.
Well,
oh my God!
You know what? Wake up, because it's time to talk about what we've been playing.
Okay, let's do it.
And you know what? Since Tim had to go to the crapper, we're going to start with you there, Justin.
You know what, guys?
At least that's what I assume he did, because he just said, "Be right back," and blurred his screen out.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. I'm going to be, so let me ask you this, and I guess this is a bigger conversation. Have you ever just kind of fallen out of gaming for a week or two?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of been the last week. So you know what I've been playing? I've been playing some Overwatch, just because they're having the Overwatch. Well, no, because they have an event right now, and anytime I can get a free skin, I'm a sucker. You know what I mean? I've also recognized I put an uncomfortable amount of time into Overwatch.
Is it rivaling your Fortnite time?
No, that's a even bigger upsetting number to get into. But yeah, they've got a celebrating the year of the Ox right now. So they've got some, they do those kind of come in, win 9 matches, get some skins. So that's what I've been doing. That's about it.
Awesome. I'm just going to go ahead and weigh in here too. That the only thing that I've played for the past week is Fortnite.
That's fair.
Been waiting on Mario 3D World. But yep. I think I talked about this last week. I started Ratchet Clank on the PS5 because it's part of the PlayStation Plus collection.
Yep.
I had it back when it came out and hadn't finished it. Now I finished it. I love that game.
Nice.
I love it. I could 100% it just to find all the weapons and stuff, but I decide I'm not going to do that. Like I'm at a point where I'm comfortable saying I'm done. Like you ever do that? Like you get to a game, it's just like I'm comfortable being done here. Yep. I've done the story. I've gotten what I want to out of it.
Which game was that again?
Ratchet Clank.
Okay, gotcha.
The reboot of Ratchet Clank.
And I wonder, as it's kind of talking about like falling out of games, and I think you mentioned this earlier when you're talking to Seth, that idea of like analysis paralysis, right? Because and it's the same situation you have when you like load in Netflix. Do you know what I mean? You're like, oh my gosh, there's too many options. And again, we are very, and I want to be very honest here, we are very privileged as the Nintendo dads. We get a lot of codes, we get a lot of access, we get a lot of games. And I find I like turn on my Switch sometimes and I was like, oh man, there's too much to choose from. What should I be playing? What do I want to be playing? And then the other challenge I have is how much time do I have? That's the rub.
And let me throw this in there. You turn your Switch on and you're like, oh, I don't know what to play. There's 12 things here I could be playing, but then there's all the games you've forgotten about that have been buried in your all game section that you can't put into folders.
Yep.
So you maybe don't finish them.
I'm very guilty of like, I will put something in a wish list. I'll give you a great example. Kentucky Route Zero, right? I remember listening to Mega Dads traveling somewhere, and it had just came out, and John had reviewed it, and he's like, wow, it sounds really cool. It had my attention. I put it in my wish list. Came on sale for like a $10. I bought it, and then here's exactly what I did. I bought it, and I instantly archived it. And so it's like I bought the book, I looked at the book, put the book away, and moved it along.
And I do that with a lot of books.
I am so guilty of that of so many games. I'm like, oh, I wanted that, picked it up on sale. Sure, we'll do that. And
I've done that with a lot of games.
Like I actually got to a point last year
that I was like, I need to focus up because I'm not finishing anything, but I'm playing everything. So I was like, I need to really focus my vision.
You're doing the me thing that John and After Dark keeps teasing me about.
So I literally wrote down like 3 or 4 games. I'm like, I'm going to finish these games, and those are going to be my focus. And once I'm finished those, then I'm going to create a new list, because we all have those games that like we're 50% through or a little bit through. You're like, I love that game. And I started playing something, and now I got distracted by something else, right? And again, and Seth talked about this as well. Like, as people who get games and codes, that happens to a lot of us.
Yes.
And
it's
we
funny
never
that
get to
you
finish
mention
it.
that, because we actually have a question about it that we'll get to later on.
All right. Well, maybe I'll stop chatting then.
I just think it's something. I'm glad that you mentioned it, because I think it's something that we all deal with, especially. I guess on our end, because we do get those codes and we do get things that we have to play.
Yeah.
And then, like, sometimes after I've played what I have to play, I don't want to play what I want to play. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Yeah, we've created content. We've talked about it on the show. We've got some good information. We've been able to give it to our fans and our audience. And then I'm like, my tank is empty.
And that's why, like, I got sucked down the Ratchet and Clank rabbit hole for like 6 days. Until I finished it. And I think that was why. It was because I don't have to play this game for the show. I don't have to play this game for content. I don't have to play this game to talk about it. I want to play this game because I want to play it. And that's why it was so appealing to me. That, and I was thinking back to the PS5 reveal or whatever, and the idea that there is a new Ratchet and Clank coming. I wanted to be in on the ground floor.
Apparently that was announced for June. Just out of June window now.
This coming year?
Yeah. I saw that on Twitter this week, or like today.
I think it was originally they were expecting it to be this spring, but it's now this summer.
June is fine.
Yeah,
it really is. At this point, June is fine.
Well, and I wonder, and sorry, I know this is kind of bigger conversation, but like, we live this Nintendo Dad content creation group. We live between hype cycles, right? So. We are building hype for Mario 3D World. We are going to play Mario 3D World when it launches tomorrow. We're going to be in that conversation.
In 30 minutes.
30 minutes. We're going to create content for it. We're going to talk about it next week. And then it's going to peter off. Yeah, Tim's not. Then it's going to peter off, and then we're on to the next thing. Do you know what I mean? Like you live in this cycle between games of, I think especially as content creators, that you don't really get to sit in that pocket as long, because you're riding these waves of enthusiasm and excitement and like wherever the cultural conversation's going. Like here's a great example. Cyber Shadow, right? Marty, you talked about that last week of finishing it. I've enjoyed my time with Cyber Shadow. I'm about 40% in on like 40% done. But I'm playing, I'm enjoying it. Like, yeah, this is like, I'm loving it. 3 weeks ago, I had a good, like, really good love for it. 3 weeks now in, I'm like, I really want to go back to it, but I know there's these other things in my docket coming up that I need to put my attention to. That's going to force that to stay where it is. I don't know. Maybe I'm ranting. Maybe I'm just raving.
I think you're right, because I mean, there's games that I've played that I was genuinely excited for, but then it was like, why did I stop playing that?
Yeah.
And then you look back and it's like, oh, because I had to go do something else, and then you try to go back to it and it's like the hype's just not there anymore.
That's me with Luigi's Mansion. I had to keep playing that game because I knew that was going to happen, and I wanted to finish that game, and I'm glad I did. And there's games like that where it's just like, I have to finish that. If there's any one game that I'm going to finish, I'm going to finish it. It's that. And that was that. And it was, the other games that I had.
You're saying that about your list, Justin, that made me think about my list of games that I had. That was like, I want to finish this before Animal Crossing comes out. Because I knew Animal Crossing was going to. And when I sat down at the beginning of the pandemic and or actually it was before that, and I began to identify those games, some of them, I mean, it was a lofty goal. Like, there's no way I'm going to finish that game in time. But then there was some of it that was like, yeah, I can do that. And so I started to pursue those. And that was when
you got the smaller wins first.
I'm going to, pick up the small wins. But that was like when I was going, man, I enjoy this.
Yeah.
Like, one of those games, ironically, SteamWorld Quest, I picked back up a few months ago because I had fallen off of it. Now I've fallen off of it again. But I'm like, that's one of the ones that I'm committed to. Like, I've got to go back and finish this because I like it too much.
Yeah.
I really do. Like, I have kind of this list of like I need to really focus up on a couple of things because the other part of it is like I don't feel like it's kind of like I'm taste testing everything, but I'm not getting full of anything.
Yep.
Right.
Oh, that's a good illustration.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm not like I'm not really full of anything, but I've had a sampler of everything, and then the other part of it is like for some of them like there's like I there's lovely art, right? Like you're not really allowing the artist the story to be told. You're just not consuming that, right? That those things that kind of move you or that touch you the right way. You know, I think it was interesting. I think, you know, I was talking about like Thomas Was Alone last week, right? I only played like 10 minutes or 20 minutes of that, but just like it was art for art's sake, and you were able to sit in that moment and just kind of enjoy it and feel consumed by it. And I think that's one of those also things that like why I enjoy those small conversations, like those small consumable games, right? 6 hours,
Yes.
that's a sweet spot.
Yep.
Right? I can do 6 hours. I can figure that one out. But if you're like, cool, I got a 70-hour RPG that you have to be dedicated to, I'm like, oh, that's...
You know, like the last RPG that I really loved was Undertale, because it's 6 to 10 hours. I mean, you know, at best.
Yeah.
And there's enough in that time that it just feels complete. It feels great.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, great. Like, if you're listening to this, can I give you a challenge this week? Go finish a game. Go finish a game. Go play something that's been sitting for a while.
Or do what Justin's doing and make a list, a small list.
Yeah. Check
of games you want to finish.
Because guess what? Those lists of undone games or whatever, that's not shameful. That's called being human.
Yeah, don't make a backlog. We all have our backlog. Make just like a 2-3 game list that you want to focus on.
These games.
Yes.
Yeah. Last year for me, it was finishing off Luigi's Mansion, and it was finishing off Super Lucky's Tale, and there was something else I had finished, I think. Like, but I remember like I focused up. Like it was like every time I was like, I'm going to play a game. I'm like, no, I'm going to make progress, and I did it like one at a time. I was like, nope. Luigi's Mansion, that is my focus. That is the one I'm going to finish. That like so if I have free time, that's the hour I'm playing. That's the hour I'm playing, and get it done. And then I was like, same thing with Super Lucky's Tale. Done. Now, also, what done looks like to you may look different than it is to me. Like I'm a done. I've rolled credits. I've seen the story. Yay! Like I am not I'm going to go back and 100% every single piece of this game. Right. But I digress.
And some people get their fill also even before they roll credits.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll spend some time in it and then just be like, you know, I got to see what I wanted to see out of this and I'm done. So
that's what I thought about Persona Q. You know, I only got maybe halfway through it. I got stuck at a boss because I didn't feel like I didn't want to go back and grind because I don't like doing that. But I still put like 55 hours into the game. I was happy with my purchase and play through. I didn't feel like I was disappointed in stopping there.
No, that's good. Yeah. It's like, did you get what you wanted to out of it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Tim, now that you're back, what have you been playing?
Sure. Did you finish your list, Marty?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
It's Ratchet Clank and Fortnite. That's it.
All right. Gotcha. All right. I'll keep mine short too, because I mean, like we were saying, little bits I've been playing here and there. Usual games I mentioned before, but some games that I've been playing that I think I mentioned in our Discord channel is basically Blue Fire. I've been playing that. It's and I mentioned this as it to you guys. I think, in fact, that it reminds me more of Zelda 3D game and a Mario 3D game, the older ones, because one of the crappy camera, but it's still a fun platformer. Because I can't stand how the camera does not follow you. You have to constantly keep the camera behind you or move it on your own. You know, unless I'm missing a button or something that'll automatically refocus it for you. I think there is. I think there is one, but it's still every time you're moving around, the camera is like all of a sudden you're looking at the camera. That drives me bonkers. Why can't the camera just automatically follow you? But that being said, I'm having a lot of fun with Blue Fire because it is like a platformer type thing, and I'm enjoying, the story. And Marty, I think it was you that mentioned when you brought it up that was like it had the void. The voids were kind of like the same type of areas as the Immortal Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, that was me actually. Yeah.
Oh, that was you, Justin. Okay, yeah. So yeah, it's kind of got that feel. I agree with that. So, but I'm having fun with it. It's a cute little story too. But I also thought it was kind of funny too because it was like you would think there would be these cutesy noises coming out of the characters, but they seem like more live action noises coming out of them. You know, like the grunts or the whatever. So it threw me off the first time I heard it. So, but yeah, I'm having fun with Blue Fire. And then the other game I'm playing is the Outer Worlds because I'm trying to catch up on doing my tasks in order to get to the Gorgon asteroid tasks, the recent Peril of Gorgon DLC that they released for the Switch, which I'm trying to get to the point in the game. Like right now, if I look at the list here, I got a list of things that I gotta do. Tasks is basically I did the kind of like the tutorial story, which is called Stranger in the Strange Land, and then comes now the Power. Those are the two main storylines I did. Actually, I'm just finishing up like telling people what happened in the end of that story, and then I'm gonna be getting the power converter that I was supposed to get for my ship finally installed and taken off so that I can do the next two missions, which will then unlock the Gorgon mission that I will hopefully be able to share with you guys in stream this weekend if I can get through it. So, but that's where I'm at right now, playing some Outer Worlds. And actually, let me say this. I'm glad that this came up for us to do because I've been wanting to go back to Outer Worlds, especially with the fixes they put in. I haven't gotten around to it until I was asked to, hey, check out this DLC. And I'm glad I bounced back in there because the game looks a lot better. I'm not saying it's, Xbox, PS4 or PS5 levels better, but it still looks a lot better than I remember it did. Still plays fun. And even when I played it before, I was having fun with it, even though it didn't look as great as the other consoles. I was still having fun with it. And now with it looking better, and I've been playing in handheld mode, so I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but to some people. But I've been playing in handheld mode, and I've been enjoying the story, having fun with the gameplay, the shooting, and all that. I just wish there wasn't so much upgrades and stuff. I wish I could just keep going and just play the doggone game, and
I'd also say that one big thanks to the folks over at Obsidian for providing us that DLC code as well. That was very kind of them.
Yes, thank you very much. And like I said, in Outer Worlds, the Twitter channel actually liked my post about doing the broadcast for that this weekend. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's great.
So I hope to at least some point, not sure which day, because it depends on when I can get through these these last two missions that I need to get before I could do the DLC. But sometime this weekend I'll be playing it. So that's what I've been playing mostly.
Awesome. Jesse, what have you been playing?
Yeah, like you and Justin, I've done very little gaming this week, but I did get about an hour and a half of Haven in. I think someone talked about it last week a little bit, so I don't remember who or how far they said, but I did a stream the other night on that. There's a couple who pretty much ran away from some seemingly dictatorship-ish like government, and who basically they fear for their lives, that they think they're gonna come back for them, and they're trying to find a life for themselves on this what was thought to be an inhospitable planet, until a little bit of seismic activity showed them why it was considered inhospitable, and they've busted up their ship. And I think the majority of the game sounds like is you've got to collect resources to repair the ship parts. I've done like the first repair so far, and overall I'm liking the game. I kind of wish there was a map, or so I can kind of see what zones connect to other zones, because I got turned around really easily. And the game itself runs smooth once it's loaded, but the loading times between zones seems uncomfortably slow.
Mm.
And then there is some combat, which is kind of turn-based / active time battle like combat. The battling is weird though. Normally you would say you want to attack, you want to defend, but your options are on, like for one of your characters is on the D-pad, the other is on the face buttons, and to make a selection you have to push and hold for like 3 seconds to lock it in, and you don't have to do it one at a time. You can make the decision simultaneously, and then they will act whenever they're able to act. But the one thing I haven't been able to figure out is how to specifically target what I want to target. I don't know if there is a way, and if there is, I haven't found it. So I'd like to be a little more strategic in my battles. Since I've been playing turn-based games for 30 years. Yeah, that's kind of how I think. But other than that, I'm liking this. I want to keep it going. But knowing Mario's coming out tonight and Persona's coming out in 2 weeks, I don't know when I'll be able to get back to this. And knowing my track record, I probably will never get back to it. But I'm wanting to.
Awesome.
And few other things I wanted to mention that's not gaming. I talked about my baby Pac-Man machine that I bought almost 2 years ago. I'm in talks with someone in the area who does pinball repair. So, we talked about some parts I needed to order to get at least the coin door, in operation again. And I'm trying to arrange for him to come out to look at the machine, determine what other parts I need to order for him to then come back at a later date to actually do that repair. So hopefully I can get that fixed up and actually do a little video on that showing that gameplay. And then another toy I recently I bought is a green screen that I'm currently not using because there's no room behind me to set it up the way I have my 2 desks arranged. So I'm going to have to do some rearranging of my office and my play space down here in my basement before I get that going. So hopefully I can get that going within the next few weeks as well.
Very cool.
Very
Anyway, the funny effects that shows up when I wave my hands should not happen when I actually have a proper green screen.
There you go. Hey guys. Oh, sorry. I see. Yes. Timothy off in the front row. Yes, sir. You.
So I forgot to mention one other game too that I've been playing that's on my mobile phone. It's actually Magic the Gathering Arena. They actually brought out a mobile version of that, so you can actually play what you used to have to be able to play on the browser. You can play on your mobile phone now, which I'm excited about because I don't get to play the actual physical card game with anybody much anymore. So this one you can actually play with others or against others, and I'm excited about that. So
nice.
And also I appreciate that Marty called out where I was during the time I stepped away. Thank you very much, Marty, for calling me out.
we assumed pooping, just pooping. Also, folks, just as a quick PSA, I am currently on the My Nintendo Rewards page, and they have updated it with Bowser, Super Mario 3D Bowser's Fury keychain that is of Cat Mario. So if you are looking to pick that up, you can. It's for 800 coins. I just got mine in the Great White North.
I've already ordered mine as well.
It has been removed because they're already gone.
I just ordered it here, and I've got it coming to me.
In Canada, It's available. I don't know about the U.S.
You guys. Hey, I still no one got me that Star Splatoon keychain that I wanted.
I tried.
Hey, I put it out to our listeners too, and nobody, responded. And I just feel that was very hurtful.
There's actually a lot more they re-released on there too. If you look on the rewards page, a lot of stuff that was out of stock. There's a lot more back in stock, just not the things you probably want.
No, I did pick up the 3D posters last time, the 3D All-Star posters.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get those framed and put down in the room down here. But I mean, the rest of it was like Paper Mario, get out of here. Pikmin 3. Yeah,
I'm holding out.
I don't need a four set coaster.
I'm holding out hopefully there's some cool Zelda stuff coming.
Oh yeah, sure. Look at that'd be nice, eh?
Yes.
Well, I also now have a Super Mario 3D World Bowser's Fury keychain. Thank you.
Look at you. You're welcome.
I appreciate.
You're welcome.
Hey, I appreciate it.
I look out for you. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, like that's something that I actually want.
I thought you might. That's why I brought it up.
The greatest 3D Mario game of all time, and
Debatable.
I have a keychain of it.
Now you guys know if you guys were reading the things that go on in Discord, you would have known all this stuff already.
Wow! Wow!
Thanks to
can I just admit a fault?
For that.
Can I admit a fault here?
Yes, you can. This is safe zone, Marty.
Okay, thank you. I sometimes find our Discord, among others, a little overwhelming.
Yes, there can be a lot going on.
By the amount of, and if I ever am not available, it's not because I don't love our patrons or love our friends. It's that I'm so overwhelmed by the amount of stuff I have to scroll through. There's
a lot of activity going on.
Analysis paralysis again.
Yep.
It's a problem.
That's because our fans, our community are amazing.
Yes,
amazing.
Like I'm on some servers. There are, like 20,000 people total, and 2,000 run at the same time. I'm like, how do you manage that?
Right.
I'm on Rogers, and I'm like, I don't know where to start.
I see
Epicel's comment.
Epicel's comment in the chat. Masson only sees the Apex channel. First, we have an Apex channel? When did that happen?
Actually, we don't have an Apex channel.
Okay.
We are not having an Apex channel.
We don't have one yet. There probably will be under the Let's Play section. There probably will be one.
Anyway.
So, but yeah, if you go to, what is it? The Capri one. Me, Capri.
Yep.
They got a lot going on in there too. It's like I go in there and I'm like, I'm lost.
The Capri one. Go to the Capri one.
The Capri one. Me, Capri.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Guys, let's turn on the community spotlight for just a moment, shall we?
Let's do it.
I wanted to go back to a question that we got last week that we were not able to answer. And the reason we weren't able to answer this is, Tim, you weren't with us. And I thought that this would be a great question to have more than one head wrap around. Okay. Because it is, I feel like it's probably a more serious question than we get regularly. So this is from our good friend Mecha Dragon 101. And he says this: I think I remember some of you saying that some of your children are on the spectrum. And by the spectrum, he means the autism spectrum. For those of the listeners who maybe aren't familiar, he says, as I am a bit. Has it been all that difficult as a parent trying to parent someone on the spectrum? Also, how have games helped you when it comes to parenting them? Thank you very much, dads. Looking forward to the podcast tonight.
That's a deep question.
It is a deep question. I've been thinking about this one since last week, and I will say this. My son Isaac is on the spectrum, and he the way that presents itself is that he was diagnosed as having a mild form of Asperger's, and the way that presents itself for him is in something called sensory perception disorder. And basically what that is loud noises, textures of clothing and food, the way things feel, are all affect him a little bit differently than everyone else. Okay. He's always had a texture aversion. We kind of noticed that when he was a kid or a baby, like graduating to semi-solid and then solid foods. And so along with that comes anxiety and some other things that he deals with. So we were able to early on, once we kind of realized that something was going on, we kind of, worked with some mental health professionals and got some counseling for him. From there, he was we had him put in a occupational therapy for kids, where he did a variety of things, and basically it went to the point where they were like, we've done everything that we know to do. He's excelled, he's grown, and so we don't really have anything more that we could do with him here. And so we moved him to a program at a local gym where he would go once a week, and he would go swimming, and he would get some gym time as well to like work on core strength, because motor skills and core strength are something that's typically not great in a lot of people who are on the spectrum. And so he had been doing that up until the pandemic hit, and they shut that program down. And so I say all that to say, like, that's kind of the journey we've walked with him. It has been difficult at times. There's been times that he's been more on the spectrum, like as far as his behaviors, than he is now. I feel like he's learned how to cope with some of it, but like things that you would associate with autism, like flapping his arms and when he's distressed and things, he did that. He does get fixated on something, like here's a great example. A couple weeks ago, we had to quarantine again because we had been exposed to COVID by my mom. And that day when he heard that, he immediately like clicked into overdrive. Like, okay, and he was saying these things. I need to know where the vitamin C is. Okay, here's 8 of these, 2 for me, 2 for the sister, 2 for my wife, 2 for you. You go ahead and take those. Also need, is this thing that diffuses the oils? Okay, yeah, I need to know how to work this because we need to start diffusing some oils. Do we have something here to check temperature? He was very concerned about that. We were under the possibility of an ice storm over the last couple of days, and it's been like, is it icing outside? He's looking out the window. Is it icing outside? Are we going to lose power? What are we going to do if we lose power? How are we going to survive? What are we going to eat if we lose power? And so everything was fixated on that. But his favorite fixation is Minecraft and his YouTube channel, which you can go, I'm going to plug it, Red Warrior Network. It's 2 words. Red Warrior is all one word. Network is the other. He makes a video every week. He's trying to get to 100 subscribers so he can actually stream. And right now he's sitting at 74. And so if you want to go over there and help him, I mean, it's a 13-year-old kid playing Minecraft. And this week he played Scott Pilgrim versus the World because that's his new obsession. Yes. He has watched Scott Pilgrim versus the World every day for the last 2 weeks. The other night I came home from taking my daughter to dance, and I walked in and he's like, "Hey Dad, I just got done watching Scott Pilgrim versus the World and all the bonus features, even the bloopers." And I was like, "Is that like your 8th time to watch that in the last few days?" Yeah. Yep. So now he's going to beat the game with all the characters. So it's been, let me say this, and I'm passing over to Tim because I know I want to hog it, but it has been hard at times. But it's also been one of the great joys of my life for my son to teach me how to see the world in a different way. And to experience emotion the way he does, and to slow down and listen to him and to figure out what it is he's really feeling, because he feels on an extremely deep level and he interacts with people on an extremely deep level. It may not look like it on the surface, but he hears and processes everything. It's just, I wouldn't change a minute of it. Yep. But yeah, it's been hard sometimes. Tim,
definitely. What about you? A lot of the same things you mentioned happened to Sam. He's 12. His goes down a different route because he also had apraxia, which is a function in the brain that does not tell your muscles to move properly, which includes the muscles in your mouth. So he couldn't talk when he first was supposed to start talking, and then when he was supposed to start talking, it was a lot of grunts, and then that's when we found out he had apraxia. So we had to deal with that, and then that's when we started dealing with other things, along with he has loss of hearing. He's got I don't know the exact medical terms and all that kind of stuff. And I won't even try to, even though when I've been told probably 100 times, I can't. It doesn't sit in my brain, and I don't remember what it is. But I know that he can't. I know that one of the things is because I thought, some sports would be good for him as he gets older, because you were talking about swimming, try to release some of the energy. He can't play sports because, or at least physical sports, because if he gets hit in the head wrong, he'll lose his hearing altogether. That's how bad whatever's happening in his ears is. So, but he's always had a hard time hearing. So for the longest time, we didn't know this, but it sounded like, to him, we all sounded like we were underwater for him for a long, long time until we found out he couldn't hear. So he's got delay.
Which probably also didn't help his speech development because
correct.
He couldn't hear to copy.
Correct. Which also is a delay in his education and all that kind of stuff. So like Marty said, it is difficult. Every moment is different. It's difficult and can be repetitive too. In my case too. I don't know about yours, Marty, but it can be repetitive. There's a lot of things that even though you've taught them a certain thing, it's not clicking with them or something. It's just it happens again, and that kind of thing. For Samuel being on the spectrum, it also includes ADHD. He's got the emotions from that where he feels everything, just like Marty was talking about with his son. Every emotion that we have our peaks and valleys of emotions where it's probably just light bumps to where theirs is like a giant roller coaster with high peaks and low, dips. And so if they're sad, man, they're sad. They're going to be crying their eyeballs out. And it could be just about they dropped their pencil and they're crying about it. So
the way that our sons process emotion is
yes, it's very intense.
It is very intense.
And what could be, a little bit funny to us, they're cracking up and, losing their breath because they're laughing so hard. So, and their anger too. And that's the part that we're trying to manage with my son is his anger management, because those peaks and valleys include anger. And I've mentioned this before in the show where he's broken some things because of his anger. Most recently, his Switch. He doesn't know this, but and you guys wouldn't be able to see this anyways, but I have it here. I don't know if you guys can see the screen as it turns on. Well, it's a bit dirty, but it's cracked and everything.
Oh, man.
Because he got angry. Super, here it is, the better look at it. There you go.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
He doesn't know this, though. I bought a refurbished one from Nintendo and just switched over his content from this one to the other one. And I told him I fixed it. So,
well, the way you did.
Yeah, and I do plan on fixing this one and replacing the screen and seeing if I can sell it and make some money off of it or whatever.
You're a good dad, Tim Hall. You're a good dad.
Thanks. But yeah, that's it. There's a lot that comes with all these things that each kid is going to be different. Between Marty's son, my son, I have a friend whose daughter is on the spectrum with Asperger's as well. And I've learned from them. But like you said, Marty, our kids are teaching us more than anything that I've ever been taught anywhere else, probably, especially with patience. I'm going to say I have patience, and in some areas I don't. And in those areas I didn't, he's taught me more and more how to have more patience, especially because I'm learning how to handle someone who has this different mindset than everybody else who they call normal. So how he handles punishment is different. How he handles, if he's done something wrong is different. Or in how he does something right is handled differently. So all that is different and it's hard, but I am very thankful for and I wouldn't be able to do it alone. I'll tell you that too. You got to have.
Ain't that the truth?
You got to have a group of people and a significant other, obviously, to be able to support each other in this, because there's going to be days where she's like, okay, I need a break. So it's me helping her out, or I'll say I need a break and she's helping me out. Because it gets, it does take a toll, but you love your kid to death, but it takes a toll because it's different. It's not what you expected from having a kid, that you thought would be like you were when you were a kid. And it's extremely different. And it's even more different than even when, even if you're someone like I have my daughter too, doesn't have any issues or anything. She's totally different from me, but each kid is their own thing, but this is totally different. So, but again, I'm very thankful for what he teaches me as well. So sorry if that was long-winded. But.
No,
it's great. It was amazing.
Dustin, thank you for that tweet, by the way.
You're welcome, pal.
Just leave it there.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank
you. I think it was.
That got a little bit deeper. That got a little bit deeper than I thought it would. So.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great conversation. Right, and you Mech, I see in the chat here saying, "Wow, this is much heavier than I thought it would be." I think the answer, I think from both this, and I also just want to say, just some of the comments, Tim, just the commentary of just an amazing dad, and yikes, and just the stressors. But I think as parents, I think and again, I'm neither of my children are on the spectrum, and so I can't speak to that. But just that idea of you love your children no matter what, and the challenges that you face and the frustrations that you face, but that is part of it, right? And that's the journey that you take as a parent. And so yeah, just grateful for both of you as friends who have to walk that journey, right? And I know that's challenging, but I also see the grace that you show your family and your children, and so kudos to both of you as well.
We have a lot of people in our community who have grown up with ADHD who are adults with it. So we talk about it a lot with them. And there's other people in the community that have whatever that they talk about and have shared. So it's a great community to talk about that stuff. And I would say that find that community to be able to talk about this kind of stuff. And also keep in mind that how you raise children with these type of differences that we've come to learn of is different from what you would raise, like how we were raised. If you weren't diagnosed with ADHD or anything like that, or have come to find out that you had it but weren't diagnosed, because I know a lot of us who are older, at the time when we were kids, that wasn't even a thing, right? So, but that's the thing about being a parent.
I think that's Zach's story.
Yeah,
you didn't find out until later,
right? And that's it right now. What we're learning, as I'm learning as a parent, is that it's definitely different from how my dad raised me, because that's how we go on, right? Is how did your parents raise you? You take what they've done and learn from that, try to raise your kids the same way, but you can't apply it to the kids who have these type of disabilities or what have you. So you have to learn. And I've gone to online learning, webinars to learn how someone under the spectrum or someone with ADHD, how their brain works, so I can understand how to parent that, So it could be a whole other show on this, I'll tell you.
You really could. And just to kind of circle back to that, since he doesn't play sports, and since there's a limit on physical activity right now that he was doing.
Yeah, my son was doing swimming too, by the way, until that stopped. Yeah.
Video games are how we bond. Video games are our connection point. And it's been real fun to see that grow over the years, and into a more recent time, like he and I challenging each other back and forth on Fortnite to see who can get to a certain level before the others or whatever. And so, it's been a ton of fun.
Let me tell you, that kid's got some killer sniper shots too. I watched his highlight reel on Red Warrior Network. I was I'm a fan of a good snipe, you know what I'm saying? And he had this line shot, and it was just a one shot, and it just, you don't shoot for where your man is, you shoot for where your man's going. And it was like
I taught him that. I was like, dude, you got to shoot ahead, you know.
That was nice. Something. I was like, wow.
Yeah, when I really need like a really like when there's a challenge that takes, you know, up to 4 people, I just line him up. He's got a friend who plays nearby too, and I'm like, can you come help Dad?
Yeah.
Come help me out. A couple more questions here before we round out the show, because guys, Super Mario 3D World is it's out.
Is it here now?
It's out.
Is that what you guys are playing?
Are we gonna do a stream right after this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we are. We're gonna stream some Bowser's Fury right after this.
No, let's do 3D World. I want to throw you off a cliff.
Killing me. I don't have the game. Dude. I'm not playing.
Dude.
I'm not playing.
Look here. Why?
I don't have the game. We'll talk about this in the post show.
Okay. Anyway. Hotaru.
Oh, look, it's starting. That's awesome.
Yes, there it is. Hotaru sends in this question. Hello. Is there a feature from the 3DS you wish was on the Switch?
You know what I'm going to tell you, and I know that, Marty, you're saying folders. I know.
That is it. It's always the answer.
Folders, themes, and I'm going to say Street Pass.
Come on.
Well, that was my answer.
Come on.
Yeah.
Actually, can I tell you the one that I really thought of? Like folders, everybody knows I'm going to say folders. So I'm not saying folders, because that's just a given. Folders should already be on there. It shouldn't even be a thing. Here it is. Miiverse.
Miiverse.
So
I will say Wii this: there were a lot of things. There were a lot of things the Wii U did wrong, but there was as goofy as it was, there was a sense of community with Miiverse.
That's a good point.
That was definitely better implemented in the Wii U because it originated there. It was literally shoehorned into 3DS, and it worked, but it was slow.
You know, the other thing that the 3DS did a lot of that I would have liked to see is they did a lot of the shareable download content. So what I mean by that is like, hey, I've got the game, but you don't have the game. Download play. Yeah, thank you. They did a lot of that, and I really like that. And I think as families, that would be the thing that I like. Like Mario Kart 8 should have download play, and like Super Mario 3D World could have some download play. Like, I mean, again, it's not full packets, but like small packets to play together. I think that would be something.
Here's something to prepare for Mario 3D World. I played Mario 3D Land on my 3DS this week. Just a little, not much. Just picked it up yesterday. And you know, guys, I miss the 3DS. I do. Like I was kind of hard on it at the end where it was like, okay, it's time for you to go. I still believe that. But I miss the Find Me and all those games that that you could play once a day or whatever. Like through the Street Pass games. I think that there would be something. Especially since a lot of times the Switch is just on, passing by people. Like Street Pass is a gimme for a Switch Pro or whatever comes next. I think it would be great to see that again.
Before we jump into our next question, I want to say Eric Peterson, happy birthday. Apparently it is your birthday weekend, and he's starting his birthday weekend off right, of course, by listening to us in our chat, of course, in YouTube, but also by playing some 3D World and Bowser's Fury.
That's
so happy
right,
birthday,
the greatest 3D Mario game of all time.
Peterson. Debatable.
What's not debatable is that Eric Peterson needs to have a fantastic birthday.
That's not debatable.
Last question here, guys. Here it is from brand new patron of the show, Sparky,
which we did not say originally today.
That's why I made a big deal about it right now.
Good.
I was really concerned and really pushing on we need to have Seth Macy out of here in an hour.
I know you did a great
drilled
job.
That into my head. So.
I was very aggressive on it.
You were very. Here's what Sparky says. I have so many, and we've kind of talked about this already, but in a little bit different way. This question phrases a little bit different way. I have so many unfinished games in my collection. It's embarrassing. Thing is, though, I continue to buy new ones. Same. The real problem, however, is once you go back to a game you haven't played in ages, you literally forget whereabouts you were in the game, what you were up to, and worst of all, you can't even remember the controls. Your only real option is to start the game again from scratch, and sadly, this is something you never really do. Mm-hmm. I jumped back into a game of Astral Chain this evening. I had progressed quite far when I played it months ago, and I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Does this happen to you?
Yes, it's happened recently.
One of your newest patrons.
It happened recently with the Outer Worlds. The Outer Worlds, because I hadn't played it since we last got it. Essentially, I put it down because it was like, it was fun, but I was like, okay, I heard they were gonna do, their fixes and stuff because they were having issues with the game. So I was gonna wait for the fixes and come back to it, but then just kind of started playing everything else. So I hadn't played it until now, and I had to deal with the exact issue. But thankfully, a lot more games like that does have journals in them where you can go back to the journal and just kind of catch up on, okay, what did I do so far? What do I need to do? What are the tasks that I need to do? So that was helpful, but it was trying to figure out, okay, the other elements of it, which is, okay, how does this gun thing work? How do I repair my things? Am I supposed to repair these? Am I supposed to upgrade these? What am I supposed to be doing here? Why am I collecting all these parts? So I was trying to get back into that swing as well. So for me, that is the most recent example of that I could give.
Yeah, I would actually tend to agree with that as well. One of the games that I remember very distinctly was Breath of the Wild. I put it down for a while, and I knew I had like all the 4 shrines I was going to go. My last step was go to Ganon, and I remember like, I climbed the shrine, and I was like, cool, I'll jump off the shrine and use my glider. And I jumped off the shrine. I was like, I don't remember which button glider is, and it was just wee, you thump. And I was like, yeah, I need to go remember these controls real fast. It's funny. Astral Chain is a great example of a game that I didn't finish. I think I got up to like chapter 8 or 9. But you're absolutely right. If I had to go back into that, I remember like kind of like the amount of complexity at times with calling in the astrals or the creatures or whatever they were. But yeah, I remember I was just like, there's a lot to go on there. It's also one of the reasons why, and I said before, like I stay away from a lot of those like JRPGs and big RPGs, right? Because if I'm like, unless I'm going to play it like straight through. I mean, I have
constantly.
Yeah, Xenoblade 2 or whatever it is, and I've played some of the Tora Golden Torna package. But if you were like, oh, where are you in this? I was like, I don't really know. I have no clue what's going on. But there are some games that are really good at like, here's your quest, here's your main quest, here's your side quest. Yeah. So, and I guess
for me, the last game that happened was The Witcher 3. I like that game, but it's analysis paralysis plus putting it down for a while and coming back to it and having no clue where I was or what was going on. I knew I'd killed a griffin. That was about it.
Yeah, which is, this exact reason is why I try to play one game at a time and not jump around. It's because I actively try to avoid this from happening.
Yeah,
I think the last time this happened to me was Breath of the Wild. Trying to get back in to get the bike through DLC, and I'm like, I don't remember how to play this game. So nope.
And that might be the reason why I don't go back to a lot of the bigger games. Like right now, I'm afraid this is what's going to happen with Immortal Phoenix Rising, because I haven't been able to go back to it. That either I will go back to it and I'll have to, try to figure out everything there. But I think that also has a journal type thing to kind of help remind you what's going on. But I'm just afraid that it's the move set, the mechanics of the game that I'm going to forget or whatever. But I think that's probably going to be the next one that might fall off if I don't get back to it anytime soon.
Like another example, one of my favorite games of all time, Final Fantasy VI. The last time I played it was when we did Retro Rewind on it like 3 or 4 years ago. And I got to the midpoint of the game, where the big twist happens, and stopped playing it. Even though I played that game a bunch of times growing up, I still don't remember the controls, and literally will have to relearn it from scratch. So when I do pick it up again, it's from ground zero.
Well, guys, I gotta be honest with you. Fantastic community interaction this week. Great questions. Loved it. I know Seth was loving it too when he was on earlier. And that is episode 314. It's been a fantastic show. I've really enjoyed hanging out with you guys tonight. It just was a cap to a good week.
I'm glad it turned out that everybody was able to come, because it looked like there was only going to be a couple people on today.
Yeah, me too. And so as we close out the show, I just wanted to say this. We are at 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. In fact, we're now at over 5,100 subscribers on YouTube. If you don't subscribe to us on YouTube, why? Just head over to youtube.com, type in Nintendo Dads. Be sure to click that subscribe button and the bell so you get notified when we put in new videos, which is really just about every day.
Single day.
Yeah. We have an awesome community creator community
program. Yeah.
I can't find words. I've used them all. Also want to remind you guys that our new merch store over at tpublic.com, you can access that by going to our website, nintendodads.org, where you can find all kinds of cool stuff, including our videos, tweets, podcast episodes, links to our Patreon page, and our merch. And again, as we mentioned Patreon, we want to say thanks to our Patreon producers, Chris Mears, Dave Ernsberger, Antonio Contronio, and Christopher Waring. You guys are great, but all of our patrons are great. We have lots of patrons that are saying that they may be some of the best. They are the best. We're going to have the best patrons. Anyway, find us in most places on the socials by typing in Nintendo Dads, or email us at nintendodads@gmail.com. Call in and leave a voicemail. 929-25-NDADS. That's 929-256-3237. Thank you, OC Remix, for this music that causes Justin to do whatever that was. Disturbing.
You're welcome.
Oh my gosh.
You're welcome.
Oh.
They're
anyway,
hard.
I need to bleach my eyes now.
Anyway, go and wherever you listen to us on the audio feed, be sure to give us a 5-star review and some written words so people can find us. It helps. It really does. It helps people find the show. They read the reviews and they go, oh, this is some things of substance here. These are good. Or you can just write some words, as some people did. That's fine too. Really. It's okay. Guys, for me, for Justin, for Jesse, and Tim, this has been episode 314 of Nintendo Dads. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
Maple syrup mousse.